Welcome into this evening edition of Bengals Breakdown. I'm your host, Stone Shields. And coming up on today's show, we got to talk about day one of OTAs. The team was together practicing today, and we've got some news, rumors, takeaways coming out of that OTA session here on a Tuesday afternoon. So stick around for today's show. Plenty of fun stuff to discuss. But before we get into that, if you want more Cincinnati Bengals OTA coverage, you have come to the right place. Hit that sub button for me right now. Going to have plenty of updates here, position battles. Obviously, it's not training camp yet, but still a lot of noteworthy takeaways to be had here during OTA. So don't miss out on any of our coverage. Hit that sub button for me right now. It's youtube.com/BengalsTV. Start with some offensive line conversation here. Kelsey Conway does a tremendous job covering the team for the Inquirer, Cincinnati.com. Kind of had some insight here on what's going down as far as that guard battle goes. Obviously, several guys involved in this competition, and she put out a tweet earlier this afternoon saying Dylan Fairchild and Lucas Patrick were the first two guards up in the first 11 on-air session. It's the offseason. A lot can happen from here, but it is noteworthy. O-line looked like this: Samarius Mims, Lucas Patrick, Ted Karras, Dylan Fairchild, and then, of course, Orlando Brown Jr. at that left tackle spot. Obviously, we've talked in depth here. Of your 5 starters, 3 of them are set in stone. But what are you going to do at that guard spot? It's my way of thinking that, hey, you went out, you got Dylan Fairchild in the 3rd round out of Georgia. He's going to be a starter for you as long as nothing alarming comes up over the course of the next couple of months, right? And then that right guard spot's up in the air, right? Lucas Patrick, a guy that you brought in kind of the tail end of free agency once and all the big names had settled, the dust had settled a little bit, if you will. Do you think Cody Ford and Jackson Kirkland are involved in that competition as well? As is Cordell Volson, who, of course, we spent some time talking about here on this show. Volson, of course, is going into the 4th year of his rookie contract, and the Bengals have kind of restructured that deal. We talked in a previous show that, hey, they were going to do this, they were going to save some money, and obviously you got that PPE, right, basically saying that, hey, Volson's played a ton of snaps for you for the first 3 years, so he was going to get a bump in pay here, but Cincinnati restructuring this contract. Now we had the details of the contract. Spotrac putting this out early this morning saying Volson signed a 1-year, $2.6 renegotiated contract with the Bengals that includes $500,000 guaranteed per game, active bonuses, and likely incentives as well. The move frees up about $516,000 cap space for Cincinnati this season. Again, I think this is good for the Cincinnati Bengals. It's good for Cordell Volson as well. Obviously, he's not getting as much, but he is getting a signing bonus there, which obviously is very impactful for him. And we'll see if he can go out there and make the team and play a lot of snaps. He's going to hit all those incentives, and he's going to make a lot of money. Now, if he doesn't make the team or if he doesn't win a battle, could he be cut? He definitely could be, so that's something that Cincinnati will have to explore as well. But he is going to get a signing bonus here, so I think it works out pretty well for both parties, if we're being completely honest here. But this is now the 3rd restructuring that we have seen with Cincinnati this offseason. Started with Geno Stone and Zach Moss, and now we have Cordell Volson here as well. By the way, I think these restructures give those guys a little bit more assurance that they're going to make the team, but no guarantee that none of these guys do get cut. Hopefully, Scott Peters can get the most out of Cordell Volson, and he really can factor into this guard battle for Cincy in 2025. Speaking of that, will Cordell Volson earn a starting spot? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section of today's show. It is the pinned comment of today's video. Type Y for yes or N for no. Let's talk Shemar Stewart on today's show. Obviously, we spent a lot of time talking about Shemar Stewart. OTAs are now here. Day 1 is in the books. And as you can see here, this photo also was taken by Kelsey Conway at today's practice session. You see Shemar Stewart there sitting on the sidelines. Yeah, he's got his jersey on, but he's not participating in any drills at this point. Look, I don't have any new thoughts on this. Kind of went on a rant a couple of videos ago. Make sure you check that out on the channel if you haven't done so already, kind of detailing how I really feel about this situation. But not much has changed, right? Day 1 of OTAs, a lot of valuable reps, excuse me. And Shemar Stewart still on the sideline, not participating. Each day that goes on, it still becomes increasingly more frustrating that we have not seen anything get resolved between Shemar Stewart and the Cincinnati Bengals. Got to find a way to get him onto the football field. If it's going to take until training camp to figure out what exactly his contract looks like, work through the language of the contract, what have you, that's fine, but you got to find some way to get this guy participating. Is there some, I heard James Rapine talking about this on Enter the Jungle as well. Is there something, a waiver that both these sides could agree on that could at least get him out out on the practice field that could protect Shemar Stewart and also protect the Cincinnati Bengals as an organization as well. You have to find a way to get him out there because this is a guy, as we've talked about in depth here, needs those reps. He didn't do much from a production standpoint at Texas A&M. If you want him to produce in the NFL, he's not just going to roll out there week one and be able to do it. He needs to work at it. He needs to get out on the practice field, and he needs to work out the kinks. Sitting on the sideline is not doing anybody good, certainly not doing Shemar Stewart any good. It's not doing the Bengals good at all as well because he, of course, is their 17th overall selection in this past year's draft. Continue with some news from OTAs here in a second. But we got a new item that we want to show you guys, courtesy of our friends over at Fanatics. It is the Crucial Catch hoodie. Crucial Catch, of course, is the NFL's way of helping fight back against cancer. It really is an incredible initiative, of course, that they are pushing. Obviously, cancer doesn't have a place in anybody's life, but it impacts all of us as well. And we're trying to do our part here, and you can really give back to this Crucial Catch initiative by the NFL by helping us out, helping yourself out, going over to Fanatics and getting some of this gear. Take a look at this hoodie right here. I think it is really, really cool. Obviously, it is, getting warmer outside, but that doesn't mean you can't get a hoodie that can prepare you for the fall when football season comes. And best part about all this, it's on sale, right? It originally was about $85, on sale now for less than $55. So make sure you go check that out. Chatsports.com/Bengals hoodie / that link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. Let's talk a little Germaine Pratt here on today's show. Still no decision on Germaine Pratt. Now, as far as I know, there's no difference in terms of what Cincinnati will get out of cutting him prior to June 1st and after June 1st, right? So I don't think from a financial perspective really has too much of an impact. Now, I'm surprised that he hasn't been cut already. I thought this was something that was going to get done a little bit earlier in the offseason. The Bengals still haven't responded to his trade request. He requested a trade, and they're just kind of, sitting here like, whatever. He's still on the roster. They haven't cut him yet. They obviously didn't trade him yet, and they certainly haven't reworked his deal yet either. Pratt got a little active on Twitter earlier today. Somebody, Matt Minnick, put out a tweet saying, "I get the funny feeling Pratt will be a restructure, not a cut." And then Pratt replied to that tweet with the sleeping emojis, the Z's. And I do just want to say this. This is probably the worst part, one of the worst parts about working in this space, right? When you get athletes in the offseason, they put out some tweet on Twitter, and we got to sit here and talk about it. Do I really care that Germaine Pratt put out a little emoticon with some Z's? All right, I don't know what that means, right? Is he sitting there saying, there's no way that it's going to be a restructure, or there's no way that, I'm going to get cut. Like, what is he talking about? We really don't know. But bottom line, Germaine Pratt's a little bit in his feelings here. He's putting out a little tweet. Again, I've said it before on the show. Bengals legend, Germaine Pratt, what he did in that playoff game against the Raiders, that will forever live, in Bengals lore, right, as far as I'm concerned. But, the production out there on the football field, was it as good as it needed to be last year? No. And the Bengals are clearly going in a different direction for Germaine Pratt. Is this a guy that can still go out there and play at the professional level? Absolutely, right? I still think he has a future in, being a starting linebacker in the National Football League. Obviously, Indianapolis is the name that a lot of people have thrown around. I think he's going to land on his feet. I'd be surprised if it was a restructure, but it is noteworthy that we are sitting here the night of May 27th, and we still don't have any action, or we really haven't heard anything in regards to Germaine Pratt. Obviously, the way the room shakes out right now, you got Logan Wilson, and then you got your draft picks, right? Demetrius Knight Jr. and Barrett Carter, and then Oren Burks bringing him in from the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. Seems like the Bengals as a team, as a defense, as an organization are going in a different direction, but I am surprised that we are getting kind of this late in the ball game. We still haven't heard anything in regards to what exactly is going to happen with Germaine Pratt and his future. Another opportunity for you guys to get involved with our show here at Bengals Breakdown. What to do with Germaine Pratt? What do you think happened? So let me know. C for cut, T for trade, K for keep. Sound off for us in the comments of today's show. Before we get out of here, I want to talk some Ja'Marr Chase here on today's show. Ja'Marr Chase was in one of those media scrums right by his locker talking to members of the media. Anytime Ja'Marr Chase is talking to the media, it's awesome, right? Because he is just so brutally honest at all times. And I've always respected that. And if you remember back when he wasn't talking to the media as he was going through his contract situation, that was probably because his agent was like, dude, every time you talk to the media, you're just way too honest with them. So we can't afford you to be talking to him when we're going through these negotiations. But regardless, today, Ja'Marr Chase was very, very honest yet again. This is what he had had to say in regards to the preseason. It was kind of funny how this whole situation transpired. He was like, straight up, he was like, it was up to me? No, of course not. You asked me if I want to play? He said, no, not really. I don't want to play in the preseason. He was kind of saying that, yeah, it doesn't do much for him, doesn't really get him in the right headspace to go out there and play well in week 1. And then the conversation very quickly, literally less than a minute later, he was sitting there, he was asking the reporters there on the scene. He said, how did we start out my rookie year? How did we start out again my second year? What about the year after that? And they told him the records, how they started out all those years. And then he said, it sounds like we need to start playing in the preseason. So he kind of switched up his tone a little bit there as he kind of progressed there through that 2-minute segment there with the media, which I thought was kind of funny. Basically, people are going to try to get it twisted and say, oh, Ja'Marr Chase doesn't want to play in the preseason. How selfish is that? He's getting all this money. He won't even play in the preseason. No, Ja'Marr was literally just sitting there. He was saying whatever came to his head, and he was like, yeah, it doesn't really help me to play in the preseason. And then he was reminded, oh, yeah, the Bengals haven't played well at all at the beginning of the season. We got to do something to switch it. And he's like, maybe it sounds like we all need to go out there and play in the preseason. Bottom line, Ja'Marr Chase has got his money. Was he a bit of a distraction last offseason? Yes. He's never going to be in that position again until it's time for him to get another contract. He's got his money. He's a dog. He's an absolute dog, right? And he's going to go out there and he's going to put the work in. I really have no doubts about that at all. And he also did touch on the Olympics. Thought it was interesting. A lot of people have kind of said that, hey, Ja'Marr Chase, he would be the perfect guy to go out there for Team USA in the Olympics. And he kind of had his reservations about the whole thing. So there was a lot more questions that he needs answered. Obviously with the NFL guys, what's it going to be like kind of taking that away from some of the guys that aren't NFL guys that were accustomed to playing in flag football? How would it fit in with the schedule? So he said it definitely is a good thing for the game, but he still had his reservations and he has a lot more questions that need to be answered as far as, before saying, hey, this is ultimately something I want to do. And he also did ask if he was going to get paid either, which I thought was kind of funny as well. But Ja'Marr Chase not fully in on being a part of Team USA flag football quite yet. If you made it to the end of our video here on today's show, we appreciate you. You are a real one. Show your appreciation for us by liking today's video.